Who are these people?
Welcome to another episode of Angel in the Afternoon. I'm Angel Rivera, of course, and alongside me is Alex Knight and Witchy Perfect. And how's everybody doing?
Doing fine.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Good.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm just enjoying seeing Israel get karma for what they've been doing.
What goes around comes around, baby. Karma's a
Hmm.
bitch.
Other than that, other than
You still battling the
Gnats.
fly?
Stupid gnats. No, gnats.
well, come on. We are in. Yeah, they finally did it. After all the posturing and all everything that's been going on the last for years now, going back to the Biden administration, they finally pulled the trigger. Israel has, to be fair. So far, technic. The Washington says they had nothing to do with it, but I don't buy
My
that for a
ass
second.
cheeks. My ass cheeks. That had nothing to do with it.
The two funniest parts about the whole thing is that for one, uh, Netanyahu has fled the country, which
Right,
now
he's
he
gone.
knows how Assad feels, which was unfair to what happened with Assad. And
Right.
now also all the money that the politicians voted or paid for the Iron Dome, well, that hasn't been working, has it?
Nope. So yeah, Netanyahu and the
We're
leadership
so
of his
fucked.
the leadership of the government has fled Israel. In fact, there's this I could real quick we can go to. So this is allegedly his plane leaving Israel, and I say allegedly because I'm not sure whether this is actually his plane or not. It has the Israeli logo on it, so it's most likely his plane. But he's gone. He's out.
Good riddance,
You know
I
he
say.
so he starts a giant war, and then
Wait. Go back to Glenn Greenwald's tweet about size squirrel. I think
uh,
I just saw it there. Just
yeah, I wasn't paying attention to it much.
wow.
A real permanent ceasefire in January. I mean, we all knew that. We knew he wasn't going to turn on Netanyahu. I mean,
Yeah,
they're butt buddies. They love to fuck each other in the ass. I mean, come on, guys. Really? We saw this coming, y'all. We all were telling everybody else.
Mhm.
Kurt says Netanyahu fled to Greece or Athens.
It's Kurt
Who?
Boss.
Uh huh. Yeah, they allegedly he fled to Greece for some reason. He starts a war, and then the first chance he gets, he jumps on his plane and get the hell out of there. So it shows how brave he is after he started this war, basically.
Not at all.
He and the
As
United
Drew
States, but
McIntyre would say, I prayed for this and it happened.
yeah. So I'm gonna get started with my tweets here that if you guys follow me on Twitter, I sent out a wave of posts or tweets or posts, whatever they're called now. Yet last night,
It
after
was a
the
nice
excuse
rant.
me, yeah, the first wave of attacks happened from Israel
Hmm.
this morning, or not this morning, but last night.
Last night.
So yeah, I'm trying to find them. Did I book? I thought I bookmarked them. I'm not even on my bookmarks. Bear with me 1 second.
And once
All
again,
right, here we
Bernie
go.
putting blame on Netanyahu, but not Israel, of course.
Of
Why would
course.
he? You know, Bernie is one
So
of them now, so
Yeah.
don't hold your breath.
I wrote down these tweets just for pretty much note taking, most of anything, because I had a lot of thoughts, but we weren't going to come on air for another 24 hours. So it's like, so let me write this all down in tweets, and then I can refer to them tomorrow. So I'm just going to read. It's a pretty long. I got like two long threads that I wrote out, but I'm writing this down so I don't forget for tomorrow's show. The president and Congress aren't actually in power, never will be in power in Washington. The power really belongs with think tanks, donors, the Pentagon. I forgot to put the CIA here, to be fair. So I wanted they belong there too, but I didn't put them there, aka the deep state. The U.S. deep state has been planning out. I think I missed. No, I didn't misspell it. Has been planning out their ambition of invading Iran for over 20 years now, using 9/11 as their justification. All the geopolitical events the last 20 plus years have been set up and planned by the U.S. deep state for this moment: the invasion of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
You got what you
I
wanted, Tulsi Gabbard.
yeah.
That's exactly what you wanted.
Because Tulsi has a what's what I'm looking for, a unreasonable hatred of Muslims or Arabs in particular. Going back to her days when she was a progressive, she was still kind of like anti-Islam and anti-Arab, So even back when she was at her best, she still hated Arabs. So um isolating Iran from their two top allies, Russia and China, the Russians have been bogged down in a war in Ukraine that the U.S. forced the Russians into, to the point where the Russians are asking North Koreans for help with troops. China is facing their own regional conflict. China and Taiwan are facing each other down in a regional conflict. Who is forcing them into this conflict? Washington is forcing them into this conflict by selling Taiwan all those weapons they desire in their attempt to gladly be Washington's proxy against China. So these are the only two countries that are China and Russia are realistically in a position to help Iran. So they're both the U.S. deep state forced them both into regional conflicts in order to distract them from Iran.
And
Let's see.
watch the mainstream media and the shit lives and the neoconservatives. Watch now's make what is it? June 13th a thing now. Instead of October 7th, it's now June 13th.
They're already blaming Iran for this. It's like, so Israel starts bombing first, but somehow Iran gets the blame for responding. See, that's what they're doing now. Most of the mainstream media is doing that. Most of online so-called liberal media is doing that too. Progressives, whatever you want to call them, most of them are doing it too. So, let's see. So the bottom line, the U.S. deep state, who we've already established as think tanks, donors in the Pentagon, also the CIA, manipulated all this in order to manipulated all of the major geopolitical events the last 20 plus years in order to get to this moment. They've always been playing the long game. We all got played. This is my long-winded rant. Make sure you check out the show, which I assume most of you are here. So that's my first thread.
I think you've seen some of my responses, Angel. That short clip I played from that drill sergeant from the show Generation Kill. I think you've seen that clip. I posted a couple times now.
Uh
That
huh.
Tel Aviv was on fire, huh?
Oh yeah,
Again, what goes
they're
around comes around. We told Israel this was going to happen, and they said, "Well, we don't care."
yep. So there's this one that I wrote down this morning. So all I see is fake political commentators. So that's
Now,
let's
which Modern
see.
Warfare 3 did you play? The recent one or the one back in 2011?
The recent one.
Oh, because I
Not
think it's
not.
horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't. I have that Xbox PC Gamer Pass thing, so
The
it's a
Game
bunch of
Pass.
games
Yeah.
there. Yeah, for free. So I just started playing that. So now I'm angry again. Seriously, all you ignoramuses are just blaming Trump Republicans, but you don't blame every U.S. president since Reagan and deep state who manipulated every geopolitical event since 9/11, set us on the path of war with Iran. Just keep going for you just keep going for and get your online political clout and more subscribers for your fake political commentary, outrage porn YouTube channels. Like, you act like you're changing anything. Political clout and subscribers are more important to these assholes. We are living in history. Let me drink my coffee. Make sure you watch the show. So that was my second thread there. So
It does not surprise me that everyone was. I mean, I even told my dad, I said, "Turn off Fox News, or I'm going to throw something at the TV." Because they were talking about, oh, look, Israel is bombing Iran. Oh, look at the wonderful bombs. Oh, I'm going to come. I mean, really? Go
Like
suck a
Brian
dick.
Williams.
Yeah, really.
I'm
Fox
guys.
News, I mean,
Hey,
they're not going
Jimmy.
to say that, Trump did anything bad,
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy. Thank you for joining us here.
Hey, Jimmy.
So we have not Iran. Security fencing and increased police presence are being set up near the Israeli embassy in Washington. So immediately, it, Secret Service and law enforcement have blocked off access to the Israeli embassy. I wonder why that is. So
Shocker.
What would be, I guess, the icing on the cake is if the entire UAE, except for Saudi Arabia, I guess, bombing Israel.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
hey, hey, Natalie.
Hey,
How you
Natty.
doing tonight? If you haven't, guys, make sure you give me a like and subscribe because we're obviously being shadow banned, and there's no way INN will ever get our what's that I'm looking for, monetization back. So
Right.
share the content, like, subscribe. Let people know about us because the only way we'll get bigger is through word of mouth because
That guy
YouTube
ran
ain't gonna do
fine
it.
or something. He's got a really big, fat tummy.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
oh, here.
The big fat dude. You know
Uh-huh.
he ain't catching nobody. Yeah.
No,
What's that
no.
theme? And he's real pie or whatever that's called.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this makes me physically ill because they're going to do everything they can now to
Uh,
protect Israel,
so,
and they're not going to do dick to. How many mosques have they actually put tape around and said, we want to make sure no one bombs this mosque or whatever. Yeah, they don't give a
mhm.
fuck about the Islam guys. Terrorists.
Watch that Argentinian president, cry about this now.
Oh God,
Malay. Yeah, he's
I like to
obsessed
keep
with
my dinner
Israel.
down. Thanks.
So, so I figured this is relevant too. Benjamin Netanyahu claiming in 1993 Iran will have bomb by
To make
1999.
donuts. I'm sorry.
So, according to Netanyahu in 93, Iran will have the bomb by
Uh huh.
1999.
It's
It's
the weapons of mass
2025.
destruction thing
They
again.
don't
It's
have
tw- it,
bombs
it,
now. They don't
it
have bombs
20,
now. This is what I was
it's
screaming at the TV. I was
mhm.
screaming literally at Fox News. They have nuclear bombs. They're going to do this. They're going to go after the facilities. Bullshit. Iran never wanted a bomb.
This,
That's
this
what
is
we were trying to tell
this
them.
is the weapons of mass destruction thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the weapons of mass destruction lie again.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys seen yeah, exactly. But I'm sure you've seen the tweets of
Whatever.
we're getting World War III before GTA 6.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
already in it. We're all
but
fucked. As I said at the beginning.
I don't know if we're not really because the only way that we would be in World War III if Russia and China come in to back Iran, and for reasons I've explained, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So
As a certain someone would say, we're so fucked.
We're so
yeah,
fucked.
but we're not in World War III fucked, but we're fucked. Let's
Yeah,
just
we're
say that.
fucked. But because if I remember correctly, I think it was you, Angel, that reported that Iran said the Iranian Ayatollah said if there are any attacks on on Iran from Israel, they will hold the United States personally responsible. I think it was
Yes,
you.
yeah, we talked about it on the show like a month ago when,
Now look,
basically yeah, so basically, Iran has threatened to bomb basically the timeline was on Friday or when it was yesterday. Sorry, they would basically if Israel would have bombed them, they would respond and bomb U.S. embassy and U.S. consulates in the Middle East. And so far, they haven't done that yet. They haven't
Well,
done
yeah,
that
so
yet.
far.
But
Don't hold your
yeah,
breath.
Mhm.
But I mean, like this is what I was talking about. This is why I was screaming at the TV at Fox News. I mean, they have coveted this war forever for these bombs to take place so that Israel could get their kicks in. But then also, America wanted the oil that's in Iran because Iran had way more oil than everybody else.
Yes,
So
yes, they have way more oil
they
than.
have coveted this since the beginning of the, whatever.
Ever
Whenever they
since,
started this shit.
ever since the people overthrew the
I agree.
the Shah of Iran in the 1970s, that's when the U.S. has just wanted to take Iran back, and it's
Right.
been nearly 50 years now of that. So this is the closest they ever been Washington. So
Yep.
so Snow tweeted this out because, as we all know, Israel's been bombing their nuclear facilities and nuclear plants. According to Article 56 of the 1949 Geneva Conventions, prohibits attacks on nuclear power plants, even if there are military objectives. If the attack could release dangerous forces and cause civilian casualties, the IAEA General Conference also states that attacking a peaceful nuclear facility is prohibited. So Israel committed another war crime.
And reading what Grape Antine or whatever his name is said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott Ritter is now mad at They got to him. They got to him.
Sorry. Yeah, they definitely did. If he's because I saw he was streaming or he posted something on it, and I didn't bother really looking at it, so I'm not surprised that he would do that.
I would say he's
So
an Iranian phobe, I guess, to Scott Ritter. He's an Iranian phobe.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think they got to him because he was, he during the mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction thing, he was a weapons inspector and he went over to Iraq and said, "There's no weapons of mass destruction. We told you that."
and again, the what happened then is replaying now,
Right.
because again, the whole Trump and Netanyahu mad at each other thing was a work, and they did
Was
it
the
to
yeah,
play
it was total
Iran.
up.
And they played Iran, and it worked, unfortunately, because they didn't expect this. They were surprised that all of a sudden, Netanyahu was informing the U.S. that he was going to attack Iran, and Trump was okay with it. So everybody got played here from the word jump.
But here,
Uh,
look at this video where they are celebrating the bombing
mhm.
of Iran. How would I mean, literally, fucking
Well,
Israel would
well,
lose
well
their fucking minds
look
if
who's
we
celebrating now. Look who's celebrating now.
well, but the thing is,
The-
like, if we saw a bunch of Arabs celebrating 9/11, which was
Yeah.
not true, they tried to say Arabs in New Jersey, or it was Trump who said this. There were Arabs in New Jersey that were
Yeah,
celebrating
I
9/11.
remember that.
Bullshit. They
mhm.
were Israel. Israel was
It was
celebrating the bombing of the 9/11.
because, and
Well,
we all know why,
they
because
would
they would
kill more
force
Arabs if they saw
it.
Arabs literally celebrating in the streets of Iran. They literally would bomb Iran to smithereens tomorrow.
What was that John McCain said? He said bomb, 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 bomb Iran. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally ruined the old song, the good song, Bob Iran. Not bomb Iran,
Oops.
but
Yeah.
Bob Iran.
Radiation is used to sterilize medical equipment, food, and other products, killing microorganisms and extending their shelf life. Okay.
Oh, and
Ritter is
also,
an imperialist. He believes in American exceptionalism.
Now,
yeah, yeah. But also, it's funny.
So,
Bernie made that stupid response about Netanyahu. But have you noticed AOC nor who's that other guy running? They haven't said anything either.
the New York mayor guy, the Arab, I forget
Oh,
his name.
running for mayor. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's allegedly ahead of Cuomo. I don't believe that. That's bullshit. Hey, Mouse.
And guys,
Hey, Mouse.
if he wins, he's gonna turn out just like AOC and the others. So quit getting excited for him.
Yeah, Cuomo's
yeah,
going to
I
become
mean,
mayor.
it's
I mean,
it's
I'll admit
literally
the way he's been going after Cuomo is
excuse me.
amazing. But his comebacks.
Yeah, but
he's not
yeah,
going to be
Cuomo.
different than the
Well,
other.
he's like
I'm not
Bernie.
sure.
He'll be feckless when it comes down to the real,
If
balls
he
and strikes.
wins, if he somehow gets elected, he won't do anything. So it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter. That's
he's just
why I
going to be
think
another
Cuomo's going to win.
AOC or
Especially
another Bernie
running for
Sanders.
Democrats. So there's no point.
Right.
So I'm not sure how much of this I'll play, but I just wanted to play Netanyahu's explanation of why he did this. So it's in English, so we don't have to, translate or anything.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival.
That's bullshit.
This operation will continue
There
for
is no threat.
It's-
There
it's-
is no threat.
That's total bullshit.
They
many
never
days as
had
it
a
takes
bomb. They won't.
to
Yeah, it's bullshit.
remove this threat. For decades, The tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction.
That's a
Bullshit.
They
lie.
backed up their genocidal rhetoric
Evidence?
with a program to develop
Yeah, it's a lie.
Because
It's a
he just says
bold-faced
it.
lie.
That's his evidence.
Yeah, he just says it. Total lie.
nuclear weapons. In recent years,
They didn't want
Iran
any.
has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs.
That's for civilian
When? Where?
purposes.
Again, where's
And,
the
and
fucking
it wasn't
proof?
even for bombs.
And
It
where
was
did
for
what did he get his elf ears from?
I'm sorry, I had to
that
think about that.
what that uranium was for is civilian purposes, which is perfectly fine under Geneva Convention. Every other country does it. You know, the nuclear power is for civilian purposes, except for the countries that have nuclear weapons. So, including Israel, by the way.
9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before. Steps to weaponize this enriched uranium.
That's
Yeah,
totally
just
made
like
not
the
up.
stop.
weapons of mass
Iran could
destruction in
produce a
Iraq, asshole.
That's
Fuck
totally
you,
made
suck
up.
a dick.
That's
Sorry,
totally made
Angel.
up because as we all know, I mean, I made the case that Iran should have been building a nuclear weapon in secret. That way they can protect themselves from exactly this. But he's claiming that they were doing it all along, which is a lie. You know, there's no evidence that they were doing it. In fact, they were doing the exact opposite, desperately calling Washington to kind of like, hey, look, I mean, call off Israel. You know, calling the White House, and
It
of
was
course they didn't do
freaking Scott
anything.
Ritter that literally said the Iranians were literally adhering to the deal. They had gotten rid of most of their uranium. They were adhering to the deal. And then Trump took us out. But they were still adhering to the deal, even though the Trump pulled the fucking USA out.
Yeah, Israel does have nukes, Wesley.
Yeah, but
and-
Iran does
yeah.
not.
What is it
No.
you're trying to say, Wild Rose? Is it that Iran should defend itself?
They should honestly. I said this a few weeks ago. They should have probably been building a nuke in secret, and then when they got it done, then tested it somewhere. It's like, oh yeah, that's ours now. You can't attack us because it's mutually assured destruction. Because if you attack us, we'll just, that's why none of the superpowers attack each other for that reason.
Right.
Because it's mutually assured destruction. So we always have to deal with the proxy wars ever since the nuclear age. So all these wars, these wars in Vietnam and Iraq and Afghanistan, Ukraine, most recent example, those are all proxy wars because the superpowers won't confront each other because of nuclear weapons.
Right.
nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could
No,
be
they
a
won't.
year.
They've
It
been
could
saying
be
that for
within a few months.
20
That's total
years.
bullshit.
They've been
This
saying
is-
that for
it's
20,
let-
30 years.
It's less than a minute. And he's lied so many times that I had to stop this. Less than a minute.
The
I mean,
clear and
literally.
present danger to Israel's very survival.
Yes,
You're a
bullshit.
liar.
80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated.
October 6th,
Yes,
he's bringing up now.
by-
Again.
No, you guys were victims of a Holocaust by Christians, not by Muslims. Christians. Nazis were Christians. They were not Muslims. And you turn right around and literally poked in the eye and spit in the face of the Muslims. You're killing Muslims, not Christians.
They're calling it Operation Rising Lion. So like that's what this.
Yeah, I'll
called,
give you
by
a
the way.
Ryan.
Perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today,
Nazis were
the Jewish
Christian.
state refuses
And he also wraps himself in October 6th and Nazis in World War II to justify this attack. By the way,
to be a victim
That's
of
not
a
a-
nuclear
that's what you're saying.
Holocaust
That doesn't go
perpetrated
together.
by the Iranian regime.
bullshit.
Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal.
Well, that's made
Tonight,
up.
Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear
Yeah,
enrichment
you
program.
literally started
Which
a
is a-
fucking war, motherfucker. Now
Which
you
is a
killed
war
us
crime.
all.
It's a war
Yeah,
crime.
you
by the
literally
way.
attacked a country that had. You have zero evidence has nuclear weapons. You have zero evidence. It's no
I mean,
different than what we did after 9/11. We literally went in there and said, "Well, they have weapons of mass destruction somewhere." I think.
Unless you don't know the reason for Iran attacking back, it's all your fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault, motherfucker. Go suck
So
a
they
dick.
attack
Trumps.
first. Iran responds by attacking Tel Aviv, and everybody blames Iran for it. Like, wait, but they're responding to Israel's attack. I mean, they have to respond. Like,
It's like, yeah,
We struck at the heart of
He's like, yeah, we
What?
got Iran. It's like, and they're attacking, like, oh, wait, they're attacking us? What?
What? I can't believe they're attacking us. Like, no shit. Like, you weren't really not expecting a response?
Iran's nuclear weaponization program.
That's made
We
up.
targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted
you
Iran's
went after their
leading
plants.
nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also
No, they
struck at the heart of
weren't.
Iran's.
You had no evidence for
There's
that.
no evidence. He's saying, well, we've done we targeted their nuclear facilities, which is a war crime, by the way. We've targeted their scientists. I mean, you're just killing people that are not doing
You're
a
just
bomb.
killing random people. You're literally taking. Well, first of all, you're killing random civilians. Plus, you're also taking out their power, so they have no power, no electricity, no nothing. How would
The
you like it
cold
if we
sore-
did that to Israel,
The cold
motherfucker?
sore is
How would
so
you like it?
distracting. I wonder it's part of the yop. I didn't notice any cold sore. Like, am I missing
Yeah,
it?
what are you talking about there, dearie?
Yeah. Unless
Point
I'm
that
missing
out,
it. It's fine.
'cause I don't see
Bob
it.
Rhodes says, God forbid his wife can't afford her champagne.
Right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel.
Those are not
No,
nuclear
that- no,
bombs. Those
no,
are
that's
not
bull-
nuclear bombs.
no, I remember this specifically because Iran, again, Israel started it. They started it by attacking Iran's consulate in Syria. So Iran had to respond. But they called the Israelis like, look, we're sending 300 ballistic missiles. This is where they're going to land. Please, block them. So it's a fake response. It wasn't even a real response. And he's treating it like it was a real response, which is bullshit. Because Iran didn't want Washington getting pissed off and giving him an excuse to invade, which they ended up doing anyway about a year later, which is now.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Each
Iran
of these
has,
missiles.
Iran has had
No, go ahead.
every opportunity to literally get back at Americans and America. They didn't want to poke that bear. Literally, Trump killed Soleimani so that they would get into a war with America, and Iran.
They didn't
Iran
respond.
back down.
Well,
yeah,
but
they didn't
They didn't
respond.
respond.
They didn't want to.
Soleimani.
Soleimani, sorry.
Soleimani
carries a ton of explosives and threatens
Made
the
up.
lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the
Bullshit.
lives not of hundreds,
Where's your proof of
but
that?
of millions.
Are you
Iran
a
is
nuclear
gearing up
expert?
to produce
made up.
10,000s of those ballistic missiles.
Oh, you care to prove that? Other than
Okay,
just
but that's for self preservation and survival. Again, it's not a nuclear bomb. Missiles are not a bomb. But that is
Indeed.
so that they can literally survive because they have other people who want to bomb them. Name and
It's made up.
point. Case in point,
That's-
right here. Netanyahu.
That's all made up by Netanyahu.
That's right.
so
Fuck
let's see.
Israel. Suck
Within
a dick,
3 years.
Netanyahu.
Now just imagine. Imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat.
That's
it
made up.
too must be
That
stopped.
you make up.
Iran is now working.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, Israel is pretty much the size of New Jersey, so that's why he made the reference to New Jersey. So that's how small this country is, by the way. It's the size of New Jersey. So
That's why they
that-
want more
He's the
land,
size-
because they want to dominate.
size of-
He is acting more like Hitler than Hitler did.
Yeah.
And he's Netanyahu.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
Jewish.
where's his mustache?
He shaved it off.
Yeah, he must have shaved it off because he's clean shaven now. All right, let's see.
On what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel.
That's made up.
You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to
Don't
encircle
want
Israel
a
with a
war
ring
with
of fire
Israel.
and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed
they were
Hamas.
pussycats.
We devastated Hezbollah.
Bullshit.
We hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran
Oh, and you stole their land, by the way.
Yeah, you
that's
stole
the-
their fucking land, you fucking Hitler-like.
Yeah, you stole their land, by the way.
That's
yeah,
what
I
Hitler
mean,
was trying to do, motherfucker. You literally have turned into Hitler. You guys you were in the Holocaust, you suffered greatly in the Holocaust, and then you turned right around and became Hitler to the fucking Middle Eastern Arabs. You
Netanyahu's
are exactly as you are Nazis now, Netanyahu. You are the Nazis.
Didn't Netanyahu say like a year or two ago that Hitler wasn't really that bad or something? Or didn't he say
Yeah, I'm sure he praised him.
Yeah.
Because he is now turned into Hitler. He wants world domination and he wants to take more and more land. That's exactly what Hitler wanted.
Netanyahu did say something like that. I don't remember he said those exact words, but he did like, oh well, I mean, he wasn't that horrible, right? Because he's trying to justify his own
Netanyahu.
behavior. He's trying to justify his own behavior. So
Natty, you win
Who
the
directly
internet.
attacked us twice last year. We struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we
You did
also
not defend
defend
yourself.
others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered.
bullshit. You don't care about your Arab
likes
neighbors.
You?
That's
Who
made
is
up.
Arab that likes you, Netanyahu? Everybody fucking hates you. Egypt hates you. Fucking Iran hates you. Iraq hates you. Everybody
If
hates
it-
you.
Well, the only
Israel was
countries
stuck.
well, the countries that do like Israel are the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and Ukraine. That's,
We're not Arabs. Well, some of us
Look,
are. Some
the
Arab
only-
Americans, but
The only reason why Egypt
I'm just pointing that out. Just a little
I thought we
tidbit.
were talking about just overall countries.
the only reason why Egypt is good with Israel now is because the United States pays Egypt to be good with Israel now. We're paying them
Money
billions of
talks,
dollars
baby.
a year.
Bullshit walks. Suck a dick.
That's
Sorry,
how Jimmy
Angel.
Carter. That's how Jimmy Carter got the Egyptians to finally be good with Israel, just giving them a bunch of money every year, which we still pay off to this day, by the way. So that's the only reason why Egypt is good with them now.
From Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria.
Well, it's made
No,
up.
Peoples of
no,
those
no,
two
no,
countries
no.
now have a
No, no,
chance.
That's all
no,
made
no,
up. That's
no.
all made
That
up.
is all bullshit. First of all, it was a proxy war and a Syrian civil war that the United States propped both sides up. I don't know which
They-
side Israel on, and I don't give a fuck. But
they
he wants to make up this bullshit like, oh, we helped this person, we helped that person. No, you fucking didn't. All you did was sow the seeds of literally dissent. And Lebanon was a known country with Gaddafi, and then they overthrew Gaddafi. And guess what? Now there are live slave markets. People are being sold as slaves in Libya. If that is that what you call Lebanon? Lebanon is literally nothing. We have made it nothing.
Yeah,
As Hillary said, we came, we saw, he died.
And he died.
No,
Ugh.
I mean they are so bloodthirsty and stuff. It's absurd. All right, let's get. It's like 4 more minutes. He goes drones on.
It's for a different future, a better future.
Because he lives in a fucking
So too do the brave people of Iran.
weird.
And I have a message for
Oh,
you.
he
Our
likes
fight
the
is not
people
with
of
you.
Iran, huh?
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Did you hear that? He said to the people of Iran, "Our fight is not with you." Like,
bullshit. You want to
then
kill
who is it
every
with?
Arab.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Just
matter if they're
bomb
civilian.
them.
That's total bullshit. You just bombed the shit out of them, or at least their nuclear facilities as of now. I'm sure they'll continue bombing Tehran, so it's not just the nuclear facilities, but
You don't like Arabs.
And I have a
just
message
admit
for
it.
them.
look at it.
Our fight is not with you.
That's made
Ah,
up.
bullshit.
Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 40
Oh, so now it's
That you put
Operation.
in- you
they-
literally put the United States in 1953. This is fucking history. You can fucking look it up, Netanyahu. Literally, 1953, the American government overthrew the whoever it was, the president
The Shah.
elected, who was elected. He was elected by the people, and they overthrew him and
Was
put
it-
in a brutal dictator to do their bidding.
Okay, you're
We can't
you're
use
talking
a
about.
computer. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a computer. I don't know how it works. I can't work. I'm sorry."
Well, then
you're
I'm sorry, but you're stupid and shouldn't be talking about bullshit
You're-
you know nothing about.
You're talking about Mossadegh in 1953, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though
he-
we were never alive. We were not even alive yet in 53. But yet we still know our history because we were taught this shit in school.
The CIA, there was an entire book written by a CIA agent who actually involved in the coup, and the CIA blocked the book from being released until like the
Right.
90s
Right.
for decades afterwards. So
And why is that? Because it's like they did the same thing with Smedley
26
Butler. War is a
Yeah.
racket. They didn't
Yeah.
want people to be hip to what the rich people were doing, causing all these proxy wars, calling all these wars, because they literally don't care about poor people. They want poor people to die. They want 90% of us dead, guys.
all right, let's see.
Take that as you will.
It's a little bit more. I'm not sure how much more this
years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near,
See,
We
now we gotta
they don't
liberate.
need
We
liberation.
now we gotta liberate Iran, just like
This is
George Bush
exactly what
liberated Iraq.
right. This is exactly what the United States did in Iraq and Afghanistan. And look what happened, Netanyahu. I hate to break it to you, but ISIS came out of that, or ISIL. I don't like saying ISIS. ISIS is an Egyptian goddess, by the way. So ISIL came out of that, and it was worse than what was there. Osama bin Laden was, he was a dictator, and he was brutal, and he killed a bunch of his citizens, but it was still better than what came out. ISIL literally came out of that.
Mm-hmm. So he's setting it up as another regime change war, which the U.S. is going to involve himself. So at some point, officially, with troops and stuff. For now, we're giving him logistical support now. So we're not technically in Iran yet, but we will be. I give it 90 days or less before we're totally in Iran. So, and helping the Israelis. So,
And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
Are you talking about yourself?
And Iran plans to give those.
That's made up. That's totally made up because
no offense, but Iran has not come after United States.
No.
The United States is going after Iran.
Unless look, if the Iranians followed suit on their threat and bombed our embassies and consulates, then that gives Trump the excuse to invade. So
that's why I think Iran probably won't do it. But I mean, they still. I mean, you even reported on this that literally they were going to hold the United States responsible for any attacks on their nuclear plants. I mean, this is just. I can't believe this is happening in my own lifetime, but it is.
Yeah, we're living through history.
Yeah, I mean, like this is. Well, it's not a history we wanted because guess who are going to be the fodder for all this bombing? It's going to be us poor people.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I think who was it said
the rich can go underground.
I remember. I saw a tweet from Kyle Kalinske of all people who said that the U.S. military the troops shouldn't actually do this and they should refuse to invade. And I'm like,
thank you, Captain Obvious. That was
so really.
But the problem I have with that is he's a multimillionaire. He's a multimillionaire podcaster and he's running his mouth how people shouldn't invade. Okay, but. The reason why the very few troops will actually refuse it is because they use the military to support their families, and there's benefits and there's all this stuff. If there's free college for their children, so even if they die, their family gets all these benefits, which is worth the risk to them. So it's a sad situation, but that's why very few are going to refuse the orders if they come. Of course,
Kyle Kalinske really needs to be studied.
I'm not going to study it, but I mean, it needs to be. So let's keep going.
Those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies.
Made up.
That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America.
So the Iranians were going to use the nukes in Europe?
That's made up, right?
Yeah, that's made up.
They're going to come over in their Toyota trucks like we saw in those little fucking propaganda films. All they had was like Toyota trucks. Look, Netanyahu, I hate to break this to you, but people in Iran don't want to come here. They don't want to fuck with America. We already have evidence of this he, as in Trump killed Soleimani, whatever the fucking hell his name is.
General.
Who was a third-ranked general in the Iranian army. And Iran said, hey, we don't want to poke the bear. We don't want a war with America. So I think that's proof right there that you're full of shit, Netanyahu.
And what makes it even worse about Trump killing Soleimani is, of course, like we mentioned before, Tulsi Gabbard, went after Trump for doing it, but now he supported Trump too.
Well, she sold out too. Again, you don't
remember.
You don't change the Democratic Party from within. The Democratic Party changes you. I do agree with Jimmy Dore on that.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. I'm not going to play this much longer.
And it keeps happening over and over.
Iran calls
Israel
the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. And this is why for decades
I'm sure
it's led millions in the chance of death to Israel and death to America.
I've
No,
never seen an Arab
Today,
say that.
Israel is responsible.
That's made
Not
up.
once.
No, no, they didn't, and they just make it. This is nothing but just taking bullshit and just spewing it out there in the world. And by the way, the corporate media will not fact check any of this. So they'll air the speech as is and like, oh, that's Benjamin Netanyahu's speech. He's right, of course, and we're not going to bother listening to the Iranians and their side of the story. So
Trump will be
Right.
like, I just listened to Benjamin Netanyahu's speech. It was so wonderful. He's such a great speaker, guys.
I can't wait to go
Yeah.
home, and I can't wait to jack off to his words. I
mhm.
mean, really, come on. We know
So,
they literally jack off to this stuff.
what else? What
All
else
the
is
news anchors,
genocidal?
Fox News,
Let's see.
CNN, and MSNBC, they
Yeah.
all jack off.
I read earlier today that Dana Bash actually called Trump about the situation, or he talked to him about the whole situation with Israel.
The White House is coordinating with Israel on these attacks. Actually, Marco Rubio did deny they knew anything about it, which is total lie.
It's
Little
They had to
Marco,
have
huh?
known. They had to have known because Israel wouldn't act without telling Washington first. Because remember, Trump cleared out all the consulates and the
Yep.
embassies throughout the Middle East, so he
Yep.
had to have known.
Yeah,
Be-
he
and
had
then
to, he brought those people home, said, "Hey, get your ass out because we're gonna bomb them."
Yeah, and Trump Trump was going to the Kennedy Center or for some play,
Oh,
and they
another
asked
place
him,
where he can get fucked.
eh, and then
Because Kennedy fucked everybody.
yeah, and then Trump, the media asked Trump, "Why are you clearing out the consulates?" It's like, "Oh, you'll find out, and trust me, you'll find out in a day or so." Which that's when the bombing started. So he didn't even he could have stopped it. It's like, no, don't fucking bomb those people. Are you out of your mind? You're gonna start World War III? No, no, no. And he just let it happen because he works for Israel ultimately, just like the U.S. deep
Well,
state
yeah,
and
and
just
he
like
works for the
everybody in
rich people.
Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, and he works for
Responding
rich
to
people.
those genocidal calls with
Bullshit! You're the genocider.
Yeah.
action
Ding dong, the
and
witch
with a
is
call
dead.
of our own. Long live Israel and long live America.
Oh,
Excuse
Fuck
me,
Israel.
Israel shouldn't exist. That's first
Yeah,
of all.
Israel
And
shouldn't
second of
exist.
all,
The only reason it does is because in 1948, you got the U.S. to help you defeat and kill Arabs to
so
take
I'm done.
over.
I'm done with this. But yeah, after that, it's like,
Israel
All
has the
that
right
land.
to get fucked itself.
Again,
So-
I just have to go back real quick. I'm sorry, Angel, really quick. I have to go back to that movie. Yes, it's pro-Israel. Yes, you're probably going to puke about it. But a great movie to watch about how Israel gets this land is called Cast a Giant Shadow with Kirk Douglas, and it even has John Wayne in it, and it also has Yul Brynner in it. It is about pro-Israel, but I guarantee you this is how Israel literally conned everybody into helping them get their country.
Yep. So this is a thread from Mando Weiss, who they report on Israel, Palestine, and U.S. foreign policy. They actually do good work. I use them a lot for the show. So they have a thread here. Israel bombed Iran, assassinating top military leaders and nuclear scientists. This was a manufactured crisis, time planned and approved by the U.S. So just 48 hours before the UN nuclear talks were set to resume, Israel launches biggest ever strike on Iranian soil, hitting nuclear sites, airports, and homes. The goal: kill the deal, escalate the war, and drag America in, which is 100% true. The attack didn't come out of nowhere. The U.S. evacuated embassies. The IAEA passed a censure against Iran, and Trump's envoy said the strike was coming. Israel launched a bombing less than a day after the IAEA vote. It was all planned. The lie behind this that Iran's building a nuclear weapon. But U.S. intelligence say Iran halted his weapons program in 2003.
Right.
Iran allows inspections. It offered to return to the 2015 deal Trump tore up. Israel has nukes, no inspections, not even in the NPT, which is the Nuclear Proliferation
Ta-da!
Treaty, by the way. This isn't about nukes, it's about control. The U.S. demands Iran gives up the rights to enrich uranium, even for civilian energy, knowing full well that's a red line. It's not diplomacy, it's sabotage.
It's sabotage,
Uh,
right?
Yep. Israel's airstrikes won't stop Iran's nuclear programs. Expert agrees. So why do it? Because it provokes retaliation, which gives Israel and the U.S. the excuse to escalate. This is the real strategy: force Iran to fire back, then call it war. That's exactly what it is. I said similar things too. Netanyahu is cornered politically. His government is collapsing. Pressure is rising to stop the Gaza genocide. So what does he do? Start a war with Iran, delay election, change the subject, and call it self-defense.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah, exactly.
100%
He's
correct.
he's cornered. Yeah, because and on top of that, he was convicted of bribery. So whenever he leaves office,
Boom.
he's supposed to go to jail. That's why he won't leave office.
Yep.
And this is his new play, starting a war with Iran in order to stay in office, so he doesn't
Hmm.
have to go to jail.
Kind of
And
sounds like Zelensky. That's
yeah,
exactly what Zelensky did.
hmm and
You
while the
don't,
world,
I don't want to start a war. We've done a
uh huh,
country.
and And while the world stares at Iran, Gaza is a total blackout. Israel shoots starving Palestinians at aid sites. The West Bank is locked down. Settlements expand. Homes are razed. Entire refugee camps are being emptied. The U.S. says it didn't give approval for Israel's attack, sorry, which is total bullshit. But it gave advance warnings, it coordinated military movement, and it continues arming Israel and blocking UN action. And it made this crisis possible by killing a nuclear deal.
Hmm.
100% correct. And now that the risk of all-out war is real, and for what? Not a nuclear threat, not a defensive need, but to protect apartheid, bury genocide, and keep the American empire life support. So that's all true, 100% true. And that's I said something similar, but in a totally different way. But this is a great job here by Mondo Wise. Check them out. They actually do good articles and good work, especially on Israel and Palestine and U.S. foreign policy in general. So let's see. So, anything else I have
I mean,
here? I
they
can
literally
go.
predicted this was going to happen. I mean, because they keep poking the bear that is Iran. And if Iran does end up getting into a war with United States and Israel, guess what? They're going to win. Why? They have missiles that can blow the tits off of things. And what? Israel has nukes. Okay, whoopee. It's kind of hard to do stuff when you're dead. You know.
So, Fiorella Isabel, who's an excellent reporter, she exposed this. The leaked documents showed that clear cooperation and close coordination between Rafael Grossi, the Secretary General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, Israel, with the Zionist regime fully implementing their directives against Iran's nuclear programs for
But
years.
remember, Fiorella is a bad person because she lives in Russia. Let's
Yeah, of
remember.
course. Yeah, obviously,
I would
she
rather live in Russia.
Yeah.
she's a Putin lover, so
Yeah.
obviously, I mean,
At
come on.
least
Yeah.
I get a fair
No question.
shake.
hmm In response to the anti-Iranian resolution passed by the IAEA Board of Governors, Iran has launched a new enrichment facility at a secure location and upgraded Fordow's centrifuges with advanced sixth-generation machines. Further measures will be announced soon. In a joint statement, the Iran Foreign Ministry and Atomic Agency Organization condemned the U.S. and three European nations, calling the resolution a politically motivated move lacking legal or technical basis, stressing that Iran has fully cooperated with the agency and upheld its commitments. Yet the policy of engagement has yielded only hostile responses. Iran has criticized the West for reviving long resolved claims settled by the IAEA in 2015 while ignoring Israel's weapons programs and threats against peaceful nuclear sites. It also accused the US, UK, France, and Germany of failing to meet their nuclear disarmament obligations under Article 6 of the Nuclear Proliferation Agreement or Treaty. So, yep, again, eh, hypocrisy, just for what? I mean, Iran is not a threat. We just want their natural resources. That's what this is all about.
And we want the oil too. Don't
They have
forget.
Yeah, the
coveted that
oil.
oil, like I said,
hmm
since 1953.
hmm
Angel, you probably
So,
remember that Jimmy Dore clip when Trump said we want the oil, and then he was like, "Cut the mic, cut the mic."
Yes. Cut the
uh huh.
mic. Yeah, I remember that. That was when Ron Baclone and
Graham Elwood. Yeah,
yeah,
hmm
we're still talking to him.
yeah.
Yeah.
He just keeps saying it. Jimmy freaking out.
It won't stop.
He won't stop.
So this
Go to
is an article
commercial.
from Responsible Statecraft. Trump knew about Israel attacks, already threatening new ones. The president said on Truth Social this morning that I gave them a chance to make the deal, and they are all dead now, which
Did he
is made
type
up
in
because
capital letters?
I don't know. I saw the tweet, but I heard the
Oh
post
yeah,
on
yeah.
Truth
There it is.
Social.
There it is. There. Scroll down. Scroll
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
all
He,
Just
dead.
do it before
yeah,
it's too late.
yeah. They're all dead in capital letters. Last
Suck a
night,
dick, Trump.
Last night, President Donald Trump acknowledged his administration knew about the Israeli attacks on Iran. This morning on Truth Social, he suggested that it was a part of a plan to get Tehran to accept the nuclear deal, and if they do not comply now, it only gets worse. By bombing them, they're less likely to accept the deal. Trump, you should have not bombed them. Now they're gonna dig in their heels and like fuck you. We're not gonna accept the deal now.
I love all the
Yeah.
bombs. The bombs are
Mhm.
beautiful. I just love them.
This big beautiful bill that literally was gonna make people fucking buy, electric cars. But I took it out because poor people were saying that they would riot.
Yep.
Suck a dick,
So
Trump.
this is Trump's truth post. I don't know what they call it over there, but
Truth
cer-
social.
cer- yeah, certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they did not know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and only will get worse.
Dead.
There has already been great death and destruction, but there's still time to make the slaughter. With the next one, with the next already planned attacks, even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there's nothing left,
They
and
were in
save
a
what
deal.
was
They
once
were in a
known
deal, Trump.
and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late.
Just do it before it's too
Mhm.
late, please. No.
But again, Trump.
But all that's made
Again,
up.
they were in the deal. You're the one who
Mhm.
took the deal and tore it up, and then I don't know, fucking
Here's-
stuck it in a trash can.
Just like Nancy
Here's
Pelosi did it.
here's what makes all this worse. Trump lost in 2020, and Joe Biden entered office. He could have very easily gotten the U.S. back in the deal, but he never
And he
did.
didn't. No,
He had
because
4
they all
years.
work for the
Yeah,
same people.
yeah. He never
Besides,
did because
pedo
that was
Pete
not.
is literally, on his way out, dead anyway.
So,
Has anyone
is-
seen Joe Biden lately? I mean, seriously.
Last
Or
he-
they just kind of like poke him in his little cave that they
He-
keep
time
pedophiles in.
last time I saw him, he was being interviewed by CNN after the cancer diagnosis.
Mm.
And
Yeah, that was the last time we were seen, or he was seen.
Again, it takes
Israel-
even longer to die, guys. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Israel carried out airstrikes
Because they
on
got
Iran's
great
capital
healthcare
city.
and all that stuff. That's
Yeah, Tehran. In the early hours of Friday morning local time. As of 10 p.m. Eastern, reports were coming in that the strikes have killed at least 4 top Iranian officials, alongside Commander-in-Chief of the Revolutionary Guard, General Hussein Salami, or what the hell is that? I'm butchering his name. Salamani? I don't
Soleimani?
know.
salami.
Yeah. So it looks like salami. Yeah,
It does look like salami,
maybe,
y'all.
maybe it's salami. Salami.
Salami. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Two prominent nuclear scientists, Mohammad Mehdi Tanarachi and Fedorun Abbasi, were killed when Israel attacked their homes, according to Iranian state television. Other civilians were killed in Tehran, according to the New York Times, but explosions were reported in other areas of the country too, specifically location housing Iran's nuclear facilities and military bases, including Natanz, Karamishiran, Ifshian, Iraq, and
Keep going.
Tabriz.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, I
You're almost
butchered
there.
all that.
That's okay. That's okay.
The spokesman of Iran's National Guard, or excuse me, what? Or Iran's National Armed Forces, General that name, said on state television that Israel and the United States will receive a forceful slap, and
Oh,
Iran's
Jesus.
armed forces will be retaliating with counterstrikes. A retaliation attack is definite, God willing, he said. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't
Are
buy
we
it.
gonna
It's
get
just
it on the ass? I mean,
Yeah,
because yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't buy it. That's like posturing. It's like more posturing. They should just actually do it and get it over with, but they're
Well,
not
again,
doing
you
it.
can't poke that bear because
Yeah, they don't
once
wanna-
they do that smear or the bombing campaign, guess what? Now we have to go in there and start bombing
We have
at
the
will.
excuse to go in there. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
and
they don't wanna-
Iran, they're like, okay, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna do it, half-heartedly.
They don't want Washington to have a reason to invade. I don't say Trump, I say Washington, because ultimately the deep state's in control, not the
Not
figurehead
Trump.
president of the United States.
And for all
Because
you
Biden's
fucking Trumpers out there, Trump does not run the country, and he's not doing good things.
Biden,
Guess what? He's doing bad things. Why?
Biden-
Because rich people told him to.
Biden did not running the country. Trump is not running the country. Obama didn't before him. Bush didn't. Clinton did it. They're all patsies. They're all figurehead presidents. Ultimately, the insider deep state's in charge.
But here's
So
where I
tonight,
get into fights with MAGA. They don't see that literally all that they tried to take Trump's life. Bullshit. That was a wrestling angle and a psyop. Because if they had wanted to take Trump's life, trust me, he'd be dead.
look at Kennedy. He was dead
Look at
instantly.
Kennedy.
You know,
Look at
they didn't
RFK.
miss. They
Look at
didn't
Robert
miss. You know,
Kennedy.
when those two. Yeah, they didn't miss.
Martin Luther
but
King Jr.
They somehow missed with Trump. You know, if they really wanted him dead. Like, oh, if Trump didn't move his head at the last second, that he would have died too. It's like,
It's called blading. I mean, again, Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame for a reason. He bladed his ear. Because why can't we see if a bullet took your ear, it should take it completely off.
Yeah.
Not
just
this.
apparently it just got his
a little
lobe.
scratch. Scratch my
liberals
ass.
got upset when it didn't kill Trump, or that shooter didn't kill Trump.
Hey.
That was just all fake.
We are all good, but very angry. Yourself, Hannah. So tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. Yes, it was unilateral because they did it themselves. You know, they didn't. They told the U.S. though. So to be fair, it wasn't unilateral because we helped them, or else there's no way they could have done it. According to the statement, we are not involved in a strike against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us
Shut up.
Yeah. Israel advised us they believe this action was necessary for self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partner. Let me clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. So this is from Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. This is Little Marco, as you know, Trump called him in 2016. So now he works for him. So, yes, sir. Give me. Oh, you want me to Secretary of State? Oh, hell yeah! That's a promotion. And when you go away, Trump, I could run for president again. So like that's what Rubio wants. Later, Fox News reported an exclusive interview with Trump following the strikes. Fox News' Jennifer Griffin. President Trump was aware of the strikes beforehand. There were no surprises, but the U.S. was not involved militarily in hopes Iran would return to the negotiating
that
table.
Means dick.
Which is a lie. Which is a lie because they were involved militarily. They didn't put troops on the ground, but they were involved militarily. So
you think Israel could do this shit by themselves? They can't even wipe their own ass.
Mm-hmm. Trump has reportedly told Fox News' Brett Bayer that Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and we're hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We'll see. Trump is watching for any retaliation. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, is on high alert, Griffin said late Thursday. He noted that U.S. is ready to defend itself and Israel if Iran retaliates. So what? They're going to attack the mainland? Iran won't even attack our embassies. How the hell are they going to attack the mainland? Because CENTCOM is in the mainland. It's here.
Well, again, this
something.
Is all a strategic game of chess, and unfortunately, Trump and Netanyahu are playing checkers.
So by Friday morning, the outlines of a more coordinated plan were coming into view. Trump suggested
U.S. and Israel walked so that Iran could run, or something like that.
Trump, I expected a bigger laugh with that one, but
Trump suggested on social media not only he knew about the strikes, but they were being used to coerce the Iranians into his preferred bargaining position in talks.
Of course!
That until yesterday appeared to be going in a generally positive direction. So his chief Iran negotiator, Steve Witkoff, was scheduled to meet with Iran's foreign minister on Sunday for a sixth round of talks on a possible deal that would curb Tehran's nuclear program. The sticking point is, of course...
Say, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, now, I don't know if this meeting's going to happen on Sunday. The sticking point, of course, is whether Iran would be allowed to maintain...
Day? You're going to have it on Father's Day?
Yeah, it's on Father's Day. Its own civilian enrichment program. The Israelis and their hardline supporters in the U.S. have been adamant that their entire nuclear program should be destroyed.
They don't have one.
This goes on, basically Trump is repeating his same bullshit line. Let's see. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who sits in the Foreign Relations Committee, said the attacks were clearly designed to scuttle the Trump administration's negotiations with Iran. Which is wrong. Not because of that, it's because the Trump administration was not negotiating in good faith, because they wanted this war. Yep. So this is wrong by definition, because the Trump administration was not negotiating in good faith because they wanted an excuse to bomb, and Israel just did it. It's like, yeah, we're gonna let you bomb, that way our hands are clean. even though
Like
they're
I
not
said, they
clean.
have
They're
coveted
not
this shit
clean.
since the beginning.
Yes, they were not. They were not negotiating in good faith. So this is wrong here. Uh, a war between Israel and Iran may be good for Netanyahu's domestic politics, but it'll be likely disastrous for both the security of Israel, the United States, and the rest of the region. As Secretary Rubio stated, the United States was not involved in today's strikes, and we have no obligation to follow Israel into
Oh,
a
you're so
war
full of
we
shit.
did not ask for and will make us less safe, which is total bullshit. We first
It
of all,
already has made us less safe. We literally could die tomorrow, and here's why: because if the Iranians actually did what they said they were going to do, now again, they don't want to poke the bear. They know that if they kill some of us, well, that most of the government be like, we have to pretend like we're going to defend the poor people, and then
oh,
just nuke them back into next week, and then take all their fucking
this
oil
is
anyway.
This is a good point by Mouse, which I should have mentioned. The Iranians are forbidden from building nuclear weapons by a religious fatwa. This whole thing is ridiculous. Yeah,
Again,
the
yes, I know. I said that they don't
yeah,
have one. They
yes,
don't have a nuclear program.
yeah, and that fatwa has not been rescinded, by the way. So my suggestion of them building a nuclear weapon in secret wouldn't have happened for that reason. So, but I just hope if I were them, I would have removed that fatwa. So, and let them build a weapon in secret. But
But they
it
were
didn't
trying to do the
happen.
right
Yeah,
thing. They were trying
yeah.
to not poke the bear, not scare the American civilians, because our government don't care about you guys. They don't care about you. They will use you as pawns. And guess who's going to die from nuclear fallout? It's going to be the poor people. It's going to be us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be rich people.
All right, so Lindsey Graham had a long social
Ugh.
media post. People are wondering if Iran will attack American military personnel interests throughout the region because of Israel's attack on Iran leadership and nuclear facilities. My answer: if they do, America should have an overwhelming response, destroying all of Iran's oil refineries and
Oh.
oil infrastructure, putting the Ayatollah and his henchmen out of the oil business.
This from the
And when
same motherfucker who
eh,
literally said to the last Ukrainian.
Yeah,
Believe him.
as soon as they destroy those refineries and oil infrastructure and remove the Ayatollah, guess what happens? International corporations, U.S. corporations, and U.S. oil companies will come in there and they'll rebuild the refineries and oil infrastructure, and they'll take it all out and they'll make all the money.
Yep. Of course. This is to literally make the rich richer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a fuck about poor people or civilians.
This last thing here, referring to comments from the Trump and other administration officials that Israel acted alone, Adam Weinstein, a deputy director of the Middle East program at the Quincy Institute, said, denying direct involvement in the attacks doesn't change that Washington knew about them, and this may be interpreted by Tehran as complicity, which would put U.S. troops in the region at risk. It's not wrong. But I don't buy Iran is actually going to attack U.S. troops or any interest because they've been posturing this whole time, haven't done anything. So
Right.
they they've been but he's not wrong there. I mean, if Tehran wanted to, they could do it, but I don't think they will because they don't want to poke the bear of Washington. So
Again, Iran was not just, put into this thing yesterday. They know what has been going on, and they know that literally an all-out nuclear war first of all, they ain't got nukes, but even with missiles, they ain't going to win, and they're going to lose anyway. And I'm not saying that as posturing American. I'm saying that as a real reality-based
mhm.
logic person. And like I said, a few of us poor people, or a lot of us poor people, may die, but again, that's not going to stop anything.
Yep.
Your government does not
So
care about you. Stop worshiping rich people. They are not going to save you. They're going to save their own fucking hides, and they don't give a fuck about you. A lot of the rich people, including Musk, including Trump, including Gates, are eugenics people. They literally think your genes are inferior because you're poor. Their genes are superior. That's why Elon Musk wants to fuck anything that moves and have babies.
mhm.
Because these poor people, these poor peasants, they should have my genes. I am important. I am Elon Musk. Go suck a dick.
So
That's how
there's
you
only
really
one
feel, Steph.
there's
Sorry, I
only
can't
one
help it.
person there's only one person that's sent to prison over all of Israel's plans and stuff. And of course it's not any of the leaders, it's a CIA analyst. was sentenced to prison for releasing documents on Israel's plan to strike Iran. So I'm gonna.
Hmm.
So a
Again, the
normal,
good
a
guy doesn't
normal,
win.
a
It's
normal
always the bad guys
CIA,
that win.
a grunt at the CIA, to release documents on Israel's plan to strike Iran. I guess to try to stop them. And of course, he's now been sentenced to prison. So let's read this. Uh, as the United States embassies and military bases across the region of the Middle East brace for a potential Israeli strike against Iran, friends, family, Asif Rahman gathered inside the Albert V. Bryan U.S. courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia, for his sentencing. The former
$10
CIA
says this
analyst,
guy's an Arab. That's why he's
yeah,
put in jail.
the former CIA analyst had pleaded guilty for disclosing two top secret documents detailing a U.S. ally's planned kinetic action, a thinly veiled reference to Israel October 2024 strikes against Iran. These are the first strikes, by the way, he leaked. While Rahman action did not prevent the strikes, prosecutors said in an earlier detention hearing that he forced Israel to delay its military strikes.
Yeah.
Delay, not stop. So it's like, what? Why are you bothering this guy and trying to put him in prison? Trying to make an example out of him. That's what the
Right,
CIA is trying to
right.
do.
They have been
Uh,
doing that with whistleblowers. Look what they did with
yeah,
Chelsea Manning. Look what
Assange,
they did with Assange.
and
Yep.
Chelsea Manning, and there's the other one. I forget his name. It's not Assange. It's not There's one more. I'm forgetting his name. Daniel Hale. Hale. That's it.
Yeah.
They did with him
And
too.
Grape, here's how I'm going to stop Elon Musk. I'm going to kick him in the dick. You come near me, and trust me, my man will shoot you, and then shoot you again if you survive.
Oh, so he recently
Those
had to apologize for accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files.
Yeah, he did
He had to
apologize for.
apologize?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did on Twitter. I'm so sorry. What did he say? Something to the effect of, "I'm sorry about saying that about Trump. And
Because
I
it's
was
fucking
wrong."
true, and so is his
Yeah,
name. His name is on the
yeah,
list too.
yeah.
He got the
So
word, or someone called him. That's why.
Wow, he really
yeah,
sucked dick after that one.
I,
Phew.
I got it wrong, and I think he's hoping to get back in Trump's good graces, but because he don't want to lose his funding from the U.S. government.
I was gonna
Uh,
say just because they, from what I gather, they took a mandated that everyone had to buy EV cars or electric cars. Well, hey, guess what? None of us can afford electric cars, motherfucker.
yeah.
The only people getting electric cars are rich
Sorry.
people.
Yeah. Those seeking to attend the hearing were greeted by a bailiff standing outside the courtroom and a sign announcing the hearing was under seal. Around 11:30 a.m., when the hearing was slated to begin, a bailiff indicated that members of the public not only could not be in the courtroom during the classified portion, but also had to wait on an entirely separate floor altogether.
Yes, Rick and Tiny. Elon did apologize. You can go to his
Yeah, he
tweet.
did. It's on his
What a
X right now. If you
fucking
look him up.
baby. What a
Uh,
fucking pussy.
yeah. Originally, it was estimated the
Oh,
classified
Trump, let me suck your
portion.
dick.
Uh-huh. Originally, the classified portion would take 20 minutes. It took over 2 hours later. It was announced the court were adjourned for lunch before finally opening the courtroom doors to the public. At the unclassified portion of the hearing, Judge Patricia Tolliver Giles sentenced Rahman to 3 years and 1 month in prison and 2 years of supervised release. She also imposed two $25,000 fines. So it's $50,000. Why not put it like that? But okay. The sentence was shorter than the government had requested, but longer than the 13-month sentence sought by the defense. It was ultimately a shorter sentence than those imposed on drone whistleblower Daniel Hale. Okay, I would have figured it out there. And CIA whistleblower Jeffrey Sterling. Like Rahman, both were convicted under Section 793 of the Espionage Act at Eastern District in Virginia. But they're calling him espionage. They're not. They were whistleblowers. But Rahman had no choice but to plead guilty because if he was found guilty by a jury, he would have gone. He would have done life. So rather do 3 years in prison than doing life. Rahman's prosecution was the first Espionage Act prosecution during the Gaza genocide, a vicious campaign of extermination waged by the Israeli government and backed by the U.S. government that repeatedly threatened to spiral into a wider regional war. Yet at least during the open part of the hearing, little, if any, of this context made its way to the proceeding. In fact, as a potential Israeli strike on Iran dominated the headlines, the court proceedings seemed divorced from the outer world. While Section 793 of the Espionage Act requires the defendants defendant have reason to believe their actions will harm the U.S., it leaves little room for motives. There's no public interest defense. As a result, public servants aware of very real wrongdoing by the U.S. government are faced with a dilemma. In order to effectively alert the American people they serve about what their government does in the dark, they must often break the law.
Kurt, what's
This
their
is
problem with Putin?
I don't know, but yeah, that's not
I think he's
that's
just being. Sometimes he
yeah,
likes to be a
troll.
troll. So
Yeah. So here's the thing with the Espionage Act. When you're charged under it, there's no public interest defense. So back before when they were charged, whistleblowers are like, "Well, I did it for public interest," and a lot of times the
right.
case would go away. But under the Espionage Act, there is no public interest defense. They can't even bring that up. So, which is why they have no choice but to plead guilty a lot of times.
Right. And
You'll,
see, here's the bad part of this is that literally I mean, we should know all about this. We should know what's going on with our own government. And as
yeah.
Jimmy Dore says, and I hate to keep going back to this because, Jimmy's let me down and I stopped watching a while ago.
Mm.
But
He has been making
Jim
better videos as of late.
well, that's good. But
He
Jimmy,
has
I
been.
keep going back to this. You don't get promoted for telling the truth. You get promoted by lying. Look at
Mm-hmm.
all these Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN anchors, literally all propagandists who lie to you. And if you tell the truth, guess what? You get thrown in jail. Ask
They
Julian
make
Assange. Ask Chelsea Manning. Ask all these whistleblowers. Well, you can't ask the dead one from Boeing because he's kind of dead.
yeah.
Unless you're having a
He
Ouija board.
makes the
Look,
all
look
these
at
cable.
look at Mouse's comment.
What? Wait about 6 months. We'll find out Elon was paying Kalinsky millions to make hate videos about him. What would be his motivation for that?
Boom.
That's interesting. I wonder
Boom.
what would be
Money,
his
baby.
motivation.
Money, 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 money,
No,
money.
what would
But
be
he also
Elon's
has to
motivation to
impress
pay
his
him?
Oh, I don't know.
personal.
Yeah,
Maybe he
that's why
likes to
that's
suck
what I'm
Kalinsky's
saying.
dick. Maybe he
He
likes
also,
Uh,
has,
Kalinsky's dick.
he also has to impress his mom, Crystal. So
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Mom, can I do a hate thing on Elon Musk? Okay, as long as you don't suck his dick tonight. Okay, Mom.
What? While
Hey
motives may not
guys,
have come into play as a defense, they often take center stage during sentencing as the defense try to show an employee or contractor's actions were guided by
I'll be back in
altruism.
a couple
Uh,
minutes.
Okay,
okay.
dokie.
A desire to inform the public or prevent some sort of harm. Rothman's attorney, Amy Jeffries, a former national security prosecutor, stated to the court that it was certainly difficult to understand how a law abiding individual who gave up a lucrative career in finance to serve in the CIA made the choice that he made. Even his own attorney is throwing him under the bus here a little bit. Let me see. Look what it says. She stated to the court that it's certainly difficult to understand how a law abiding individual who gave up a lucrative career in finance to serve in the CIA made the choice that he made. He's throwing it. Even his own attorney's throwing him under the bus. It's like, oh, I don't understand why he did this either, Your Honor, but I mean, you
But
should give
please
him
don't
less
hurt me,
time.
and please don't
Yeah.
think that I'm defending this guy for a good reason. That I'm here because I'm court
Yeah.
appointed. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, most likely she was court appointed because there's no way if he paid for this attorney, she would say something like this. However, Jeffries explained to the court the defense had consulted a psychologist who produced an evaluation of what Rahman that was submitted under seal. So we don't even know what the psychological evaluation even said. Uh, According to Jeffries, Rahman's actions were a result of a traumatic world events and past personal trauma. In the sentencing memo submitted earlier by Jeffries, the defense mentioned trauma from a threat to his personal safety during the time working in the CIA in Iraq, arguing that the events in the Middle East that began in the fall of 2023 revived his traumatic experiences in Iraq in a profoundly destabilizing and unforeseeable way. So that was part of his excuse, her excuse too for her client that he's traumatized what happened to him in Iraq. Jeffries told the court the former CIA analyst acted out of misguided compassion and in furtherance of peace and saving lives. But immediately after mentioning
Saving
Rahman's
lives.
attempts to achieve peace and save lives, Jeffries stressed that his actions were irrational. Again, his lawyers threw him under the bus there, basically saying that his
Actually,
actions.
what he did was a service to the American public, who is literally being propagandized every day that their government cares about them, and so do rich people.
Mm-hmm. The defense sought to explain Rahman's solely action in psychological terms. eschewing any descriptions of them as whistleblowing or politically motivated. So basically, her defense was he was crazy, not that he's a whistleblower or politically motivated to help.
Or a hero, or yeah.
Uh, After the hearing,
He's crazy.
the dissenter asked Jeffries that if she wished to expound on how her client viewed his actions as being in furtherance of peace and saving lives, but she declined to do so, though she thanked this reporter for noticing she had made the remark. So basically, her ego was satisfied. Hey, thank you for remembering my, what I said, what I said. I don't care about my client now, he pled guilty. Whistleblowers Hale and Chelsea Manning both made statements at their sentencing, stressing how the brutal toll of war on civilians inspired their action. With Rahman spoke, he apologized to his family and stated it was an honor and a privilege to serve with the CIA. Oh, come on, he's still
Still
saying he
praising
was
the
honored to,
CIA. Yeah.
yeah, he's still to serve in the CIA, even though he did that. He said he was sorry for harming the reputation of the CIA and stated the important work that his former colleagues do, much as we would never know about it due to the secretive nature. So he's still like praising the CIA and thanking them for everything they did for him. And I think he's doing that because he's afraid, they're gonna kill him in prison. So that's why he's, oh, I love you guys, please don't hurt me, don't suicide me, like he did with Epstein and so many other people.
Yeah, don't self delete me.
So this is the guy. Apparently, he does look Arab. So
My God, he looks like Andrew Leeds, who played a serial killer on Bones.
He looks like a
Sorry.
killer.
Rotman,
He also looks like
Rotman's
Rubio a little bit.
Oh, that's even scarier.
Cooperation with the government. Much of Rahman's arguments for leniency centered on his cooperation with the government. Although the government took a hardline stance against granting bail to Rahman, argued in the court that he posed a danger and a flight risk. It has since been revealed that almost immediately Rahman began cooperating with the government. Such cooperation including giving the government access and passwords to encrypted devices. In the words of Assistant U.S. Attorney Troy A. Edwards Jr., he told the government what he had done, who he had done it with, and how he did it. According to government filing,
What
Rahman
a
provided
bitch.
truthful information related to others. However, the information was unlikely to result in their prosecution. The cooperation initially produced a plea deal, which the government and defense agreed on guidelines ranging for sentencing. However, on May 6, 1 week before the original sentencing hearing date, the prosecutor, under instruction from the Maine Justice Department, sought a dramatic sentence of 108 months. So somebody in the Justice Department ordered those prosecutors to increase the sentence by a lot. So to 108 months, which is like 3 years in prison.
Shocker.
So I'm guessing that is on Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, even though it doesn't make it clear here. Uh, Prosecutors also filed a last-minute classified sentencing memo, as well as an unclassified letter from CIA Deputy Director Michael Ellis. The defense argued the court should not admit any of this into evidence and sentencing. As a result of the standoff, the judge postponed the sentencing hearing repeatedly. Incredibly, by the hearing, Jeffries noted that the prosecution no longer stood by the request of a 108-month sentence. Edward also told Giles that the government did not object to striking portions of Ellis's letter dealing with actual harm as opposed to potential harm. Giles ultimately refused to allow any part of the high-ranking CIA official's letter to be considered, stating that the letter alleged actual harm was caused by Rahman's disclosure when the classified portion made it clear that the evidence was only a potential harm. While the prosecution backed away from 108-month sentence, they continued the bizarre move of seeking both a downward departure and upward variance from sentencing guideline. Departures and blah blah blah. Basically, and departures and variancy refer to sentences outside of the guideline range, but they are based on different statutes. In other words, the government asked for a higher and a lower sentence of the guideline, which is both weird and nonsensical. So the government asked for lesser sentence and a bigger sentence at the same time, which is weird. Like, I don't think they knew what they were doing there.
There's a lot of acid going around, and I think it's this
Mhm.
judge took most of it.
Mhm. At the sentencing hearing, Rotman's family was clearly relieved. They were in tears and hugged Jeffries. Israel's genocide has sparked level of dissent within the U.S. government that had not been seen since the Vietnam War. As Israel's backer in both the Republican and Democratic parties lose control of the narrative, they have sought to reestablish control by shredding the First Amendment. It was predictable that the government would wield the Espionage Act as part of its crackdown on freedom of expression, yet this political context was absent at Rahman's sentencing. While there was a smattering of hints that he had political motive, they were left largely unexplored. Instead, the defense attributed the leaks to his mental state while emphasizing its cooperation with the U.S. government to secure a shorter prison sentence. So this is from the Dissenter, who they do good work over there. So they're on Substack. Uh, are they? Yeah, I'm pretty
The
sure they're on
dissent would have
Substack.
been a better name, I think, but whatever.
No, they're on dissenter.org. Sorry, it's not their
I know.
Substack. This
What I'm
is
saying, I think that the dissent would have sounded better. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. So let's see. Yeah, that's I mean, he's the only one's going to prison. Nobody else going to prison over this. So nobody in the elite. Nobody. They're
I
the
thought
only. They're.
people going to prison would be because they did bad things, not good things.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
there's a two-tier system in this country where the rich get away with everything and the poor get away with fucking nothing. You can't even
yep.
look at a rich person right or wrongly where you don't go to prison.
So this is Asian leaders condemn Israeli strikes on Iran. Echoing the Trump administration, major European powers have supported Tel Aviv bombing campaign. Top officials from countries across Asia have denounced Israel's attack on Iran, among them Russia, China, Japan, Iraq, Oman, and Saudi Arabia, with
Saudi
many slamming
Arabia
the.
of all countries.
Yeah, they have condemned the attack, so that's interesting. With many slamming the assault as an act of aggression and severe breach of international law.
So I was wrong, apparently. The UAE, including Saudi Arabia, it doesn't like.
Yeah, the Saudis have condemned this attack. I did see their statement.
Interesting.
During a regular press briefing on Friday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lian Jian warned that the Israeli strike could have grave consequences for the region, adding that Beijing opposes actions that violate Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, as well as moves that escalate tensions and enlarge conflicts. Russian Foreign Ministry condemned the Israeli attack in even harsher terms, deeming it a violation of the Charter of the United Nations international law. The problem is Russia and China are in no position to help the Iranians, so they're kind of on their own. Unless the North Koreans decide to send troops there to Iran because they're allies. But we'll see what happens there. Unprovoked military strikes against a sovereign UN member state, citizens sleeping peaceful cities, and nuclear energy infrastructure facilities are categorically unacceptable. The international community cannot afford to be indifferent to such atrocities and that destroy peace and damage regional international security, the ministry said in the statement. Moscow went on to accuse Western powers of stroking anti-Iranian hysteria.
Stoking.
Yeah,
He says
within the stoking. Okay. Whoops. Within the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN nuclear watchdogs, and said Tel Aviv actions were
You already
particularly
know they
cynical,
stroke a bunch of people.
given the recent nuclear talks between Tehran and Washington. So again, the Russians basically said that what I said, that Washington was not acting in good faith in their negotiations with Tehran, which of course they weren't, because
But
they
yeah,
knew they
well,
wanted this
Russia for
bombing.
whatever reason.
Yeah, they wanted this bombing. So that's why they were not acting in good faith when they started these negotiations. Iranian and American delegations were set to meet in Oman on Sunday to continue these negotiations, but the talks appeared to have been postponed indefinitely, according to Iranian and Omani state media. Well, obviously, there's a war now that's been started, so why would the Iranians continue to negotiate? Oman's top diplomat also slammed the Israeli strikes as illegal and unjustifiable and a grave threat to regional stability, urging other nations to reject Israeli aggression and support de escalation. Saudi Arabia, a longtime rival of Tehran, said much of the same early Friday morning, voicing strong condemnation and blatant Israeli aggressions against the brotherly Islamic Republic of Iran. Saudi Arabia, even a rival of Iran, said this attack was strong. They strongly condemned the attack. So that's a huge deal. That's why we like, oh wow. I mean, the
Yeah.
Saudis are even coming out against it. Riyadh, neighbor to the north, Iraq, later filed a complaint with the United Nations and accused Israel of violating Iraqi airspace during the strikes. Baghdad called on the Security Council to uphold its legal and moral responsibilities and use its authority to deter the Israeli entity from repeating such violations. Well, the U.S. won't do anything, and they have voting power in the and the Security Council. So, good luck with that. Beyond the Middle East, the Japanese government strongly condemned the Israeli air raids as totally intolerable, while South Korea expressed similar concerns. Some European states have
You, how
been much more.
Ukraine is, you see how Ukraine isn't enlisted in there?
No, of course not. Some European states have been much less critical of Tel Aviv, with German Foreign Minister Johann Wadepool declaring that Israel has the right to defend its existence while claiming Tehran's nuclear program poses a threat to the entire region. So the Germans are coming out and saying, "Oh no, they have the right to defend themselves. They have the right to defend its existence. Don't worry about it. We're going to continue supporting Israel." Iran has long insisted that its nuclear energy program has no military dimension, a conclusion repeatedly supported over the years by the IAEA and even U.S. intelligence agencies. On Thursday, however, the UN watchdog raised concerns about Iran's compliance with the Non-Proliferation Treaty as the country has expanded its uranium enrichment capability since Washington unilaterally withdrew from a previous nuclear deal in 2018 under Trump's first term, as we remember. And of course, Biden didn't get us back in the nuclear deal. Instead, he just did nothing for 4 years. And then Trump is back, and now we've escalated closer towards war.
Remember when Kyle Kalinske thought Biden was going to join back the nuclear deal?
Yeah, I mean, he's a clown at this point. French President Emmanuel Macron took a similar stance as Berlin on Friday, suggesting Israel's attack on Iran was an act of self-defense, though he still called for restraint in order to avoid jeopardizing the stability of the entire region. So he straddled the fence there. It's like, oh yeah, Israel's attack on Iran was an act of self-defense. When did Iran attack Israel first, though? That's what I'm wondering. It didn't attack him first either time.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's made up. Yes, made up. Those statements were made more in line with reactions from top U.S. officials who have praised the Israeli operations, even while maintaining there was no U.S. involvement. You can't have it both ways. Either you're going to praise it and admit you're involved, or you're not going to admit you're involved. But don't do both at the same time. Earlier on Friday, President Donald Trump described the strikes as excellent and went on to warn of former bombings by Tel Aviv. We gave Iran a chance. They didn't take it. They got hit hard, very hard. They're about to get hit as hard as you're going to get hit, and there's more to come, a lot more. Trump told ABC News.
Done now, Trump.
Mm-hmm. They are now bombing the shit out of Tel Aviv to the point where Netanyahu left. He fucked off to Greece, apparently. So his plane is in Greece now. So
Trump needs to go suck a dick. That's what he needs to do. Trump, suck a dick. And Netanyahu, that goes for you too.
Please remember, needs his like button to be hit too on the show. That sounded weird, but
yeah,
you
like to tickle that little notification bell too when we go live. So
hit
like, subscribe.
Like you two buttons. What should I press? And he's like, I don't know which one.
Tickle that little notification bell. We like it when you do that.
Yeah, please do. Please like, subscribe. Click that notification bell when we go live.
Blue Moon Red Wine. That's got to be a song, isn't it?
Hey, Lucy. Thank you for joining us here.
Hi,
Lucy.
Is that the first time she's joined us?
Lucy in the sky with diamonds, baby.
Mm-hmm. She occasionally joins us. It's been a while, though. Thank you for joining us. Let's get back to what Israel's doing in Gaza. Because let's get back to Israel doing in Gaza, because we can't forget about Gaza. Because
I know we can't forget about Gaza, but I can't watch the videos anymore. I'm a mom, guys. I can't watch these videos anymore. I'm sorry. It makes me want to hug my son.
But Hamas.
Yeah, fuck Hamas.
Yeah. Palestinian authorities reported on an internet blackout in Gaza on Thursday due to Israeli attack on the last remaining fiber optic line. Gaza's health ministry said Thursday that Israeli forces killed 103 Palestinians and wounded 427 over the previous 24-hour period as Israeli troops continued to shoot people seeking aid, and airstrikes and artillery pounded the strip. Details about Israel strikes photos and videos were not as widely available on Thursday, as Palestinian authorities reported a total internet blackout due to Israeli attacks on the last remaining fiber optic cable connecting Gaza. The UN said the blackout had hampered its aid operations inside the besieged enclave. So Israel has now imposed a total internet blackout on Gaza. So we will not be seeing those videos anymore because there's no internet there. So how are they going to get it out? Unless they take it out of Gaza, they take it to another country and upload it there. But that's very difficult and not feasible, probably, to do that. Lifelines to emergency services, humanitarian coordination, and critical information for civilians have all been cut. There's a full internet blackout, and mobile networks are barely functioning, said Deputy UN spokesman Farhan Haq. The health ministry said that 21 Palestinians were killed while seeking aid on Thursday morning. Another 294 were injured. Massacres of Palestinians seeking aid at distribution sites operated by the U.S. Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has become a daily occurrence. This whole Gaza Humanitarian Foundation thing is nothing but a money laundering scheme. Like, they don't care about actually, because we talked about them like a month ago on the show. They're all backed by U.S. corporations and U.S. Think tanks and U.S. Charities, and it's just all one giant like money laundering scheme, basically, to enrich American and international billionaires. Zito has published an account of an American contractor working at one of the sites in Gaza, who harshly criticized the operation, saying it was directly leading to more pain, suffering, deaths for the Palestinians in Gaza. Thank you for
But
pointing that out, Captain
until
Obvious.
go fuck itself, though. It's a trash
Yeah,
news program or whatever.
this is this is dead Palestinian. Looks like. Oh, let's keep. The contractor said that Israeli tanks fire all day long near the aid site. Sniper fire from what used to be a hospital. Bombs and bullets fly all day long in one direction towards Palestinians. Most of the aid massacres typically happen early in the morning as desperate Palestinians reach out to the aid sites early before supplies run out. We know the Israeli military has been enforcing curfews in some parts of Gaza. I would not be surprised if the aid was delivered at night deliberately, given it would draw more people out, which at that point could be fired on as combatants, even though they weren't. It's very clear the Israeli military would take any opportunity available to fire. The GHF claimed on Wednesday evening a bus carrying dozens of his Palestinian staff members was attacked by Hamas and 8 people were killed. So now the GHF is claiming Hamas is still killing people.
Ugh.
So that gives
Yeah,
Israel the excuse to continue attacking.
now we know why you mentioned
Yeah.
it.
See, that charity that's supposed to be helping the Palestinians is burying them further by claiming this Hamas hoax that Hamas is still killing people in Gaza. Even though there's no Hamas left, they're all killed pretty much. Hamas hasn't commented on the allegations, but claimed that his police force killed 12 members of the Israeli-backed Abu Shabab gang, though it's unclear the two incidents are related. The health ministry said that since the GHF began operating in Gaza at the end of May, at least 245 Palestinians have been killed while seeking aid, and 2,152 have been injured. I would not be surprised if it turned out GHF has been feeding the Israeli military information on when they're going to be there so they can kill them all. I have no evidence for that, the speculation, but I would not be surprised if it turned out that was the case. This is really frustrating. Really frustrating to watch this and see this happen, and there's very little we can do about it.
You okay there, Steph?
Because we are poor. Yeah, I'm trying to contemplate whether I want to cry, throw things, or bang on my desk. So at this point, I'm trying to take a deep breath. You know, take a breath is what one of my friends said the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Crap just made a funny post saying how many booms for Tel Aviv. He said, we bring the boom. That's pretty funny.
So again, this is from yesterday, but is Israel, an Israeli minister called for Israeli control over Syria and Lebanon. So they want now. A minister wants to take both countries and just absorb them and annex them into Israel. So unusually far right, and even in generally far right Israeli cabinet, Heritage Minister Ak- Akamid Elahu, I butchered that name, but let's just move on, has sparked some new controversy today in a speech to an ultra-nationalist youth conference, which he called for Israel to have full control over both Syria and Lebanon, on top of annexing Gaza and the West Bank into Israel. Eliyahu asked the crowd, "Do you want Judea and Samaria and the West Bank? Do we want Syria, Lebanon? Do you want Gaza?" Leading to thunderous cheers and him admonishing the crowd that it needs to shut it out. The comments take on more relevance as Israel is already actively occupying parts of southern Lebanon and southwestern Syria, and the far right is increasingly advocating for an expansion of that. So this is the apparently this is the right wing leader that wants this. The conference was by the youth organization of the Ribbonot organization, which advocates for the extension of sovereignty over the West Bank and argues that it's immoral to even contemplate a two-state solution. They have called the Gaza war as an opportunity for their goals, though they did not previously go as far as advocating taking Syria and Lebanon as well. Minister Lahu, the grandson of a former Sephardi chief rabbi, has made the news several times lately. Last month, he said in an interview that he sees no problem with Israel bombing food supplies in the Gaza Strip because, quote, they need to starve, unquote. These Israelis are psychopaths. The ones that are, of course, in Israel. I'm not talking about U.S. Jews because most U.S. Jews are against this.
We're
But
talking about Zionists who literally
yeah,
are
Zionists. That's the correct word. Yeah.
bloodthirsty
Zionists. Yeah.
psychopaths who literally need to go suck a dick. Just some
Mhm.
advice.
The statement didn't lead to any repercussions politically for Eliyahu, and there hasn't been any suggestions that today's comments are any different. Back in 2023, however, he was temporarily suspended from the cabinet meetings for a radio interview where he's suggesting that drop the nuclear weapon in the Gaza Strip was an option. This Zion he's a psychopath. He wants to drop a nuclear weapon in the Gaza Strip. You do realize that the fallout would hit Israel too, right? And would kill millions of Jews. But yeah, you're such a psychopath. I don't think you realize that. Eliyahu is a minister from the Ottoman Yaruhit party of the National Security Minister Itamin Ben-Gvir, who has claimed that credit for preventing Israel from reaching ceasefires in the ongoing Gaza war.
I hope Bernie loves what he heard there.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he's jacking off to it. Mm-hmm.
that reminds
I gotta
me.
suck the dick. You gotta suck the dick really good. I'm sorry, I can't do the
Sorry.
accent.
No,
Yeah,
as,
I kind of sound like a weird ass Trump.
as Jimmy Dore put it, gotta suck blue cocks are better than red cocks will take our democracy away.
That's right. Oh God!
I saw.
Yeah,
you had to bring this up.
Yeah.
I saw the statement earlier from the senator.
Somebody go get
And
me
I
a Target. I'll put a little,
Netanyahu's illegal unilateral attack on Iran risks a full-blown war. This strikes directly undermine the U.S. diplomatic efforts to address Iran's nuclear program. See, Bernie is already assuming that the Iran nuclear program is a problem, even though it isn't. Talks were planned on Sunday, but Netanyahu chose to attack. We must not be dragged into another Netanyahu war.
Which country is it, Bernie? Which country?
Mm-hmm.
Say
And
the
the reason
country,
why...
Bernie.
And the reason why Bernie's saying another Netanyahu war, because remember, Netanyahu pushed us to invade Iraq. He pushed us to invade Iraq twice. Not the most recent one, but the one in the early '90s too. It was his idea too. So he's been pushing us into war in the Middle East for decades now.
Even APAC Tracker couldn't defend Bernie there.
No, they didn't. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see. The world is more dangerous and unstable as a result of the extremist Netanyahu's government ongoing defiance of international law. First, he uses the starvation.
Israel.
First, he uses the starvation of children in Gaza as a tool of war, barbaric violation of the Geneva Convention.
Genocide.
Now, as illegal unilateral attacks on Iran risk a full-blown regional war. These strikes also directly contrived the express I don't know what that word is. The express wishes of the United States, which is seeking a diplomatic resolution of long-standing tensions around the Iran nuclear program. All right, multiple things there. One, the wishes of the United States, which is seeking a diplomatic resolution. That's bullshit. Because the U.S. wishes to go to war with Iran, not seek a diplomatic resolution. We already established that because their negotiations are not in good faith. So this is just a lie here. Talks were planned for Sunday, but Netanyahu chose to launch an attack instead. The
Bernie
U.S.
is
must make it clear.
Bernie is such a cuck.
Yeah, the U.S. must make it clear that we will not be dragged into another Netanyahu war. Along with the international community, we should do everything possible to prevent an escalation of this conflict and bring the warring parties to the negotiating table.
Oh, how are you gonna do that, Bernie?
Bullshit. Total bullshit. Here, I say this: if Bernie Sanders was elected president, the same thing would have happened.
Absolutely.
I realize that now.
Yeah.
Bernie would not have fought the Israeli lobby. The what are they called? The lobby.
APAC.
APAC. Thank you. That he would not have fought APAC. He would not have fought the ADL. He would not have fought any of that. He would have just walked right in there and did exactly what they wanted him to do in 2016 and even in 2020. So
basically would have sucked their dick. I mean,
yeah.
it's no different. Again, nobody's fighting for you. Like Jimmy Dore said, nobody's fighting for you. They are all a part of the rich people.
Yep. So more fuck Israel because why not? Because Israel captures 7 in overnight raid into Syria village, killing 1. Israeli army claims they were arrested because they were Hamas members.
Claims.
Yeah, So they illegally went into Syria. By the way, it's just like the U.S. I mean, we disrespect territorial boundaries all the time.
So disappointed, Angel. You and I discussed this before. Like when that happened, when they took over Syria, we even saw Palestinian accounts like Gaza notifications or whatever. They praised taking over Syria, or they
did.
They were tricked into that thing too. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Mm-hmm. So let me just do this is, by the way, the Zionist vision, and I've showed this before on the show, but I want to show it again because I think it's very important to understand what is the Zionist long term goal here. Let's see. Whoops, sorry. Here we go. This is what they're calling Greater Israel. This is the Zionist long term goal here. So the long term goal is to take all of Gaza Strip, West Bank, Gaza, most of Syria, including Damascus, most of Iraq, that includes Baghdad, and part of Egypt, which includes Cairo. So this is the long term goal here. I don't know why Netanyahu decided to attack Iran, which has nothing to do with this. I thought he would attack Iraq, Syria, and part of Egypt here. Why attack Iran? I'll never know. So this is their ultimate goal here, Greater Israel. I think I've showed this map before, but I need people to understand what their ultimate goal of the Zionists. It's this. Also part of Saudi Arabia. So, which is I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that the Saudis actually condemned this attack because they're next. They're next. That's Netanyahu's next goal. If they actually take Iran, the next goal is Saudi Arabia because a lot of they gotta take a lot of this part of Saudi Arabia. So let's go back here. Israeli military operations in Syria continue today with an overnight raid against the village of Bet Jin in the Reef Damash, whatever that is, and the Israeli troops, in which Israeli troops captured 7 locals and killed at least 1. Bit Jin is roughly 6 kilometers outside the territory of Israel and has already captured within Syria during its ongoing invasion, which began in December. The official statement from the Israeli military is that they arrested Hamas members in the raid. Syria's interior minister, however, says that the taken people were not Hamas, but just local civilians. Israel has not offered any evidence of them being Hamas, nor did they comment on the identity of the person killed in the raid, which involved about 100 IDF soldiers and 10 military vehicles descending on the tiny village. So Israel has not said that village has attacked them. Israel has not said has not provided any evidence that these people are Hamas, and Israel has not even said who they killed. So Hmm. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that the slain person was a civilian, and that while the IDF was there, they cordoned off the village and called out the names of 7 wanted men on a loudspeaker. There's no word on where the captured men are being held. The Syrian Foreign Ministry issued a statement condemning the raid as clear violation of international law, as well as numerous UN Security Council resolutions. They urged the international community to do something to halt the Israeli incursions and attacks on Syria, because Syria can't do it on their own. The U.S. and Israel destroyed the Assad regime and forced Assad to Russia. So after that, most of the military was disbanded, and Syria has no way to defend itself now, which is the whole point, and part of the plan. Israeli media reported the troops were in the village for around 45 minutes and raided multiple homes in the course of the arrest. The IDF said one of the people attempted to flee and shots were fired, which suggested the person they killed might have been intended to be captured too. Israel invaded Syria immediately following the regime change in Syria. Look at that. Israel invaded Syria immediately after the regime change. So once Assad was gone, they immediately invaded because Assad would have stopped them, obviously. He's not going to let Israel just invade his territory. In December, seizing a demilitarized zone between Syria and the Golan Heights, and then additional territory besides, declaring it a buffer zone and suggesting it has a long term operation. Israel is also forbidden Syria from having any military in Kintera, Dara, and the Suwahada governance, though they have repeatedly attacked Syrian targets inside Raf Damish government as well. So, who is Israel to tell Syria, oh, you're not allowed to have your military here, here, and here on the map? You're allowed to have it here, but we're going to bomb you anyways. I'm astonished that Israel can get away with this. But the only reason why they can, because the U.S. backs them
Right.
completely. So that's the only reason why they can get away with this.
Absolutely. Makes you want to puke, doesn't it, boys? Welcome to our
Yeah.
world.
Oh, here's something that the U.S. are doing here, which is kind of fucked up. This is from Haaretz. U.S. authorities detained 2 Palestinians invited to speak with Jewish groups in California. 2 activists from the West Bank's Mafrahir Yatta, whose visas were sponsored by a synagogue near San Francisco, are detained without being allowed to communicate, an organizer said. Their visas were very valid. They'll be deported today back to Qatar. So the U.S. actually arrested 2 Palestinians that were sponsored by a synagogue near San Francisco and didn't allow them to speak in the
What?
synagogue. Yeah, so the U.S. just said, "Oh yeah, you cannot speak here, even though your visas are perfectly legal and all the paperwork is filed properly, and we'll deport you back to Qatar." Sorry. 2 Palestinian activists from Masir Yatta and the West Bank were prevented from entering the U.S. upon arrival in San Francisco on Wednesday, after U.S. officials invalidated their visas. These two names here, these 2 gentlemen who were traveling to the U.S. to speak to progressive Jewish synagogues and organizations, now stand to be deported. While the Trump administration has made its crackdown on pro-Palestinian student visa holders a central component of its attack on immigration and universities, this would appear to be the first case of Palestinian activists being denied entry into the U.S. on political grounds. It further comes at a time where the Trump administration explicitly distanced itself from potentially recognizing a Palestinian state, with U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee effectively disavowing long-standing U.S. policy and the U.S. warning foreign countries not to participate in next week's French-Saudi conference at the United Nations about a two-state solution. The activists from the village of al-Kahir were entering the U.S. as part of an interfaith program, with their visa sponsored by the Kalihia Community Synagogue at Piedmont, California. They were slated to discuss the plight facing the region, which has been spotlighted in this year's Oscar-winning documentary, No Other Land. They were coming here to do a speaker tour in the Bay Area, Boston, and Washington, D.C., said Ben Linder, co-chair of J Street Silicon Valley, who organized the event scheduled for Thursday night at the Los Altos United Methodist Church. we have 4 different events in San Francisco Bay Area in the next 48 hours they were supposed to speak at. Not happening now. They're being deported back to Qatar. Linder said J Street contacted 3 local congressmen and tried to find a solution. They were detained inside the San Francisco airport yesterday, he said. They arrived from Qatar. Their visas were very valid. Their U.S. tourist visas were invalidated by the Customs and Border Patrol. They are being held and not allowed to communicate. They will be deported today back to Qatar. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection did not respond to Haaret's request for comment.
Jesus.
So they denied entry to these 2 Palestinian activists into the U.S. to speak to U.S. Jews who are mostly against what Israel's doing
Of
in the Middle East and
course,
Gaza
of
Strip,
course.
and
Because if
then they
this
will be
was
sent.
Israel, trust me, if this were two Israel people, they would have let them in scot free. But they
Oh,
did
this
the
is
same shit
interesting.
back in, like, they were letting all these illegals in, who literally were on terrorist watch lists.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 93, the bombing of the towers the first time happened. Again, they let in, people from Saudi in.
Yeah,
And look what happened after that. So, I mean,
yeah. Iran allegedly came into possession of a treasure trove of intelligence on Israel's nuclear weapons program last week. That's interesting if that's true. Which is interesting timing of this attacks if that's true. That's interesting. So not if that's the case, I'm not surprised on why Israel attacked Iran. So let's see. Any final thoughts? Because it is eight. We got 3 minutes left, approximately.
it all sucks and everyone can go suck a dick.
There you go. Um. So yeah, let's see here. Ah, well, before we go, I'll just show you guys this.
Just letting
Uh,
you know, Angel.
uh,
Yankees losing 1-0 against the Sox, going in the bottom of
they
the
can't
seventh.
beat they can't beat the Sox. It's like they lost 2 out of 3 of them last weekend, and now they're
How is
losing
that
again.
possible? But they could kick the shit out of who did they play the last
Kansas,
time?
the Royals,
The
they played.
Royals,
The
Yeah,
Royals. Well,
they beat
everyone
them.
can
They
beat the
beat them all three
Royals.
games. Yeah.
well, also
So
the one pitching for the Red Sox today is Crochet. So
well, there you go. Yeah, that's why they're losing. This is 12% of them voters sympathize more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. So just 12% of Democrats sympathize more with the Israelis. So even every voter is against this. Not just Democrats. Republican voters don't want anything to do with this war. But the president of the United States, who they elected on the promise that he wouldn't start new wars, lied to them. Big
remember when
shocker,
Tulsi
ladies and
Gabbard
gentlemen.
said he wouldn't start wars? He was the peace president.
Yeah, he was the peace candidate, according to Tulsi Gabbard and most Republican voters.
Who, by
And
the
Kamala
way,
Harris,
supported Joe Biden, who endorsed Joe Biden rather than Trump in 2020.
yeah, it shows that Tulsi Gabbard is a power hungry psychopath, just like everybody else is in Washington.
But
Because,
aloha.
yeah, because as soon as she saw that she can get power within the Trump administration, she immediately endorsed Trump. Same thing with RFK Jr. As soon as he saw he can get more power in his administration, he endorsed Trump
And I just
because
wish Luthor would stop doing positive coverage on RFK Jr. Enough's enough. He's a
Yeah,
fraud.
I
yeah
mean, RFK Jr. is just there to make you believe that they are going to do something about your health. Guys, they don't give a fuck about your health. They never gave a fuck about your health, or literally he would. I mean, our food is still being poisoned. Is he stopping that? No, he isn't. He's just doing some
no
bullshit about, oh, well, I guess we were right about vaccines. I mean, we really shouldn't be giving them out. All he
true
did was stop vaccines from being distributed now.
And
yeah he
Whoopee!
Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water.
Still
So
doesn't
no
have clean water. We still are
they
poisoning our
fired
kids in the water and the food. Our food is still poisoned. All this shit is still poisoned. But then again, we go back to, or I go back to Whitney Webb when Whitney Webb talked about this.
yeah
She literally put on her Twitter about the fact that it was Trump's own transition team guy that literally said that he had no access or control over anything except for already distributed vaccines data for it.
This is
RFK
interesting.
Jr. has no power. He has no power.
This is
So stop
interesting
with the
because
worship.
yeah, this is interesting because I said the only country that is that has any chance of helping Iran is North Koreans. This just broke apparently. Allegedly, North Korea says it's prepared to repel the Israeli attack in cooperation with Iran.
I'm surprised you're not following his account.
I don't know who he is really.
Oh,
I saw an I
you
I saw him in one of our DM groups, which is why I clicked on it because I just saw it. But
should follow him.
all right. Yeah, I mean that's that. I mean I and once again my prediction was right. It could be right if North Koreans actually decide to help the Iranians. Problem is they have an issue too because if they do it too, it pisses off Washington, and that's all the
Oh,
excuse they need to
oh,
do something.
oh. Or
But the
if they're,
North Koreans, the
or if the
difference is
the oh,
yeah, yeah. But the difference is the North Koreans actually have nuclear weapons. So
As Kit Cabello says, boogie, boogie, boogie.
yeah.
yeah,
I thought it was
that's the
boogie.
difference.
Boogie,
Yeah,
boogie,
Boogie.
boogie.
that's the
Yeah.
difference between Iran and Israel, or Iran or North Korea, because North Koreans have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So and Iran
Which
doesn't,
they
which is
were going
why
to use against the United States until Trump and Kim Jong Un, I think that's his name, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Kim Jong Un, they fell in love and started sucking each other off. They started sucking each other's dicks. So
yeah.
I mean, it's not hard. All we have to do is stop sucking Netanyahu's dick, and hey, great. Maybe we'll get some peace.
And also join his Kiss His Ass Club.
Which I do not want to be a part of, y'all.
Yeah.
Steph,
So
your pants.
I don't think you want to see the moon.
so
Not this early.
so
You
my
got to get
final
me drunk
thought.
first.
Well, my final thoughts are fuck Israel, and
Fuck Israel.
hopefully,
Fuck
hopefully
Netanyahu,
somehow this doesn't lead to U.S. troops on the ground in
Israel,
Iran,
fuck no.
and hopefully this doesn't lead somehow into U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. But I'm being naive. Most likely, that's exactly what it's going to lead,
That's
and
exactly
it's
what's going to
gonna
happen.
and
Yep.
it's going to be in 90 days or less. That's my
Yep.
prediction. We'll see whether I'm right or wrong. By the end of the summer, there's going to be a full blown ground invasion by the U.S. in Iran, and they can take the country within weeks, or within a week or two. That's not the issue. The issue is now we need to occupy it, because if we leave, the
And
same
we
thing's
don't
going to
want
happen.
that. We don't want
No,
that.
we don't want to
Again,
occupy Iran, but that's
I
what's
mean,
going to end
just
up
because
happening. We're gonna
well, just because we get the oil does not mean that that oil is going to come to us. Literally, they're going to sell it to other countries. We will not see a drop of that oil, guys.
and the oil prices will and gas prices will go up because
They will
that's their
still
excuse now.
skyrocket. Yep.
Yeah,
Remember when they
because
Putin for the gas price hike?
yeah, now it's going to be the U.S.'s fault for gas prices once again being $6, $7, $8 a gallon, just like they were when Bush invaded Iraq the second time.
Yep.
Yeah, we had $6, $7, $8 gas prices. Unfortunately, I think California has a gas tax coming, so they're looking at $10, $12 a gas out there. So good
So here
luck
we
with
go
that,
again
California.
with hey, well, go to electric cars because we want to get rid of gas cars. We want to make it harder for poor people to have gas powered cars. That way, oh well, I don't have the money for an EV car. Oh well, sucks to be you. Have fun
Mhm.
getting to work then. Guess you're gonna have to be relying on Uber, but guess what? You said something on social media we didn't like, so guess what? Your Uber just decided to cancel on you.
Yeah,
Oh well,
they've been
have
doing
fun
that.
being in the trouble and have fun being homeless because we don't give a fuck. We're rich.
Yep.
Guys, they don't
So
care about you. Stop worshiping them.
Exactly.
Every time I see a dumb motherfucker literally on social media who is praising, oh, Elon Musk, I want to suck your dick. Please let me suck your dick. You know what? Go do it on your own time, motherfucker. I don't need to see it. Go suck a dick.
unfortunately, this is my last thought before we go. Most Americans and most people that watch shows like this, they fall into that trap of politics. You know, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm this. Oh, so it's a
How
Republican
about I'm a
president.
human
So
being
yeah,
who doesn't
I'm
want
a
to see other
Republican
human beings
president.
die?
Yeah.
I'm a Republican president. So I'm a Republican, so now I got to support Trump, or I'm a Democrat, so I have to hate Trump no matter what. Meanwhile, these Washington or not Washington, Congress and the president are not the power base of this country.
Right.
You should be angry at the think tanks, the CIA, the Pentagon, and the donors who
Yep.
donate to the think tanks
Gates,
that
Musk,
lead that
Bezos,
leads to the Bezos, Musk,
Bill
there's so
Gates.
many other billionaires. Bill Gates,
And that
Miriam
that
Adelson,
the Palantir guy or whatever his name is.
uh,
Yeah, fuck
uh,
him
um,
too.
yeah. In fact, that was my initial plan for the show this week, which Palantir. But Israel decided to bomb Iran, and I scrapped that for this. But but I'll probably get back to that next week.
Yeah,
So
next week.
yeah.
And
So
then some dumbass thing will happen and you'll have to scrap it
and
again, right? You know?
yeah, I
And
mean but
tomorrow,
that's
We
an
literally
important.
have a bunch of lunatic asylum people running the asylum.
Hmm.
We
So
have the
so
lunatics literally in charge of the asylum.
tomorrow you guys are
so
doing Wrestle Talk, right? Or Wrestling Talk.
yeah.
Yes, pro wrestling
Yeah, I
talk
was
will be
just
8
gonna bring
o'clock.
that up.
Eastern.
So I
Mhm.
should be on at 9 Eastern.
Okay. Well,
More clips.
yeah, as everybody knows, we're doing Pro Wrestling Talk back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And Sunday we're finally doing
Baseball
reviewing.
talk.
Yeah, that'll be at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
7
Before, how do
Eastern.
we miss that?
Uh,
And let's see what else. What else? Angel in the
can't,
Afternoons
can't wait to see
next Friday at 7, where INN is also having a Jesse Jet clip show at 10:30 on the INN channel, this channel. So check it out there. I'll probably be in chat for a little bit and hang out there for a bit. And yeah, I think that's it. So I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of Angel in the Afternoon. Please, please, please like and subscribe and share the content, and and I thank everybody for their support, for not only for me but also for the network over the last few months. And I want you guys to make sure you take care of yourselves and each other. And hope everybody's a great weekend. And we're gonna see you back here next Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern. So have a nice weekend, everybody. And